Was there ever any talks with NWA or any talks of Shawn going without you, or you going without Shawn, or anything like that?
From AWA?
Yeah.
No, it was directly WWF. We, like you said, we talked to Garvin that time.
And they wanted you guys as a tag team,
yeah.
really? Okay.
Yeah, it was a solid thing there. We Garvin called back and said, "Yep, well, you guys come to the next TV in Syracuse or Rochester or Buffalo, wherever it was, or somewhere in New York." And pretty much, I think everybody's heard the story, but I'll tell it anyway. I mean, our first day in there, Vince, first of all, it was our first day in, brand new, and now it's just like when we first came to AWA, when the new guys in, everybody's looking at us like, who are these punks? That type of thing. Vince was having his first meeting with the boys. They would say this was a big deal. I mean, he did it quite a bit after that, but evidently it was the first time he ever had a meeting with all the boys. Our first day in. So to us, it wasn't that big a deal. But the guys had been there, it was like, wow. His whole talk was about professionalism. And it was about, the business being changed now. It's not no more a six-pack and a blowjob and fat promoters with cigars. It's respectable. It's as big as the NBA. It's going to be as big as the NFL. And you're representing 24/7. You dress the part. You're always in character when you're out there in public. It was just a whole professionalism. No more dressing sloppy, no more tearing up the hotel rooms. Just the professionalism. Professional conduct in public. That was his speech. His first speech ever to the boys. Shawn and I's first day. That night. There's no way of shortening this because we went out. Terry Garvin told us you need to go out and mingle with the guys. We basically were just going to keep to ourselves. So he said, "Don't do that. The guys will think you guys are, think you're too good. Get out and mingle." So we did. And I remember we went to hanging out with Jimmy Powers, Davey Boy, Rich Bulldog Davey, Jimmy Jack Funk, me, Shawn. We're all at the table with somebody else. I don't remember who, but just, having cut up, drinking, socializing. And Jimmy Jack, Jesse Barr, he started messing with Shawn about, "Oh, you guys supposed to be big partiers, huh? Come on, Pumps, let me see you do this." Takes a glass and breaks it, and bites it and breaks it. Tells Shawn, "Come on, Punk, you're supposed to hurry up and party. Come on, let's see what you can do." Shawn's like, "Man, I ain't doing that crap, man. That ain't how we party. That ain't what we call partying. Come on, Punk." And he takes another glass. "You ain't shit, come on." And Shawn's looking at him like he's an idiot. He's just ignoring it. And he keeps getting a little more forceful, kind of pushing on a little bit. Shawn's like, "Well, okay," so he grabs it like a little wine thing, breaks it over his head. Jimmy Jack's like, "You guys are great." It won him over, and so that was basically all the violence that took place right there. That was it. All the destruction right there. That was it. It escalated way beyond that, but that happened. And at the end of the night, time to leave. To shorten this part, at least, the girl that I left with, Jimmy Jack was wanting to leave with, and I didn't know that. So I guess he got a little pissed off. And I know he'd actually asked about going to Denny's to eat, and the girl was good, and she had tits hanging out everywhere, little waist, nice. And she looked great. I didn't know Jimmy Jack was that. I thought he was just wanting to hang out because Shawn broke the glass. I didn't know he was trying to get with the girl. But he always says, "Let me go to the room and get my wallet." So he takes off his wallet. The girl says, "Come on, let's go." And I was like, "Well, we're waiting on Jimmy Jack." She goes, "Do you want to with him or do you want to with me?" I was like, "Okay, let's go." And but the bad part about it was we jumped in her car and she was circling around the wrong way where Jimmy Jack he didn't come back out, and she had to drive right past him. And he's standing there with his hands on his hips, and I'm looking like, "Well, we got to stop now. He's right here." She goes, "I ain't stopping nothing." He just left. So the next day, in the lunch line, where they had like the little food catering service thing. Remember, I was hungover and just ready to eat. And I remember going to the lunch line, and Jimmy Jack was leaving the food things. I'm coming in, walking right up in my face. "What's your problem, punk?" And at first thinking, hell, this guy's he's just goofy all the time, not just when he's drinking. I'm thinking, I got to break the glass in my head now. Or what? What are you talking about, Jimmy? What you know what you did last night. And I'm thinking, in my mind, I'd forgotten about the little thing driving past. That totally slipped my mind. So I'm just thinking about everything was fun last night. And then he started up with you know what you did, telling everything. Now, all the boys, keep in mind, are sitting here. Sean and I knew. And they're all sitting here at the lunch, eating and hearing him scream at this new guy. Then he comes up with, you know what you did, telling everybody there last night, you guys are going to be stars and I'm a jobber. And man, as soon as he said that, all those people were eating just stopped and just are like looking at us. And I'm right here focusing on him because I'm taking a sucker punch at any second. At the same time, I noticed there was no more clanging of table, dishes and silverware. Oh my God. Because I knew how that sounded like, man, please. And I'm looking at them, who would believe that? You said it to the limo driver, you said it to everybody, you said you were going to whip me tonight. We'll see about that in the ring. and with that, I thought he was just, throwing out an idle, threat. And then Shawn just walks by behind me and goes, and that one over there, taking glasses and breaking them all over the bar and scaring the hell out of the poor bartender. And we're like, oh, shit, man. And we walk off, and he goes, that's right, I'll see y'all tonight. Sure enough, we get the TV sheets. We're working against him that night. We got him, and I think it was Jose Estrada, maybe. We're working, and we didn't work that first night, the very first night. This was actually going to be our first night, our first match.
This is Buffalo and Rochester, right?
Yeah. Okay. And so now we're like, oh no, our first match is, how could you, it's just like, we're just, only I could have this kind of luck, right? This guy that we actually have this problem with, that's who we're going to end up wrestling. And so we tried to get out of it. We went, I think we told, I don't remember who it was, maybe Pedro Morales or somebody, Chief Jay Strongbow there. Like, man, can we change this up? Because there's a little bit of friction here. And we don't want to have a bad match, our first match. And they went right over and got Jesse. What's the problem? They brought Jesse right over, like, that's even going to make it worse now. But, and they got him, and he's like, no, I got no problem. Everything's fine. We went and had the match, and everything was good. And Jesse even came over afterwards and said he was sorry. Sorry, guys, I just had too much to drink. So it seemed like everything was pretty cool. But now all the rest of the boys who had heard all that, the story grows as it's told. And, that thing about us being the superstars didn't just sit very well with a lot of the guys there, especially for ones that might have been threatened, their position, any tag teams or whatever. So when I was leaving that night, Vince saying something about good match. The partying guys, raised a little hell, but not too much. Something to that effect. We're like, okay, so he knows. That was the first thing. That was the first thing he said. So we were like, well, he knows. So we don't know what he knows. And I think we went back home, whatever. And Terry Garvin called like next day. He said, sorry, Marty. He goes, I think Vince is going to let you guys have a little time off to mature. You heard what happened. And oh no, what do you mean what? He goes, well, about breaking all the glasses in the place and tearing up the bar and causing fights. None of that happened. No, that ain't what happened. No, he goes, well, I don't think Vince is gonna. So you guys can come up here, fly in here and try to talk to him. That's your best bet. You're gonna have to pay your own way, fly up here and try to talk to him, which we said, yes, we'll do it. Man, we went, I think it was like $400 for each ticket to fly out to Sanford, Connecticut from Minneapolis. And, or if we'd moved home by then. And, we remember going to this intimidating whole site. You got this nice glass 4-floor building, and big WWF signs, and you walk in, it's just an immaculate building, and it's just like you're leading to the boss of that. Every step is a little scarier than the one before. And the secretary's like, yeah, he's not here yet. Y'all's meeting at 2:00, and he's running a little late. We're sitting. Shawn had his boots, his snakeskin boots, which boots were the big thing with the wrestlers. Sitting with his leg crossed and the boot right here in view. Vince comes walking up. And he goes, hey, fellas. And he goes, nice boots. Shawn's like, thank you. He says, they're made for walking, you know? And we were all like, oh. He goes, oh, no, just come on in here. I'm just kidding. So, and as Shawn said, once we got in there, then he fired us. But it was not so direct. I mean, he told us that he'd heard some of the stories of what actually happened. But he said, basically, in a nutshell, the boys didn't want us there. He goes, I'm doing you guys a favor. He says, the boys don't want you here. You won't stay here. At that point, we didn't understand that. We're like, well, yeah, let's give us a chance. And he's like, no, trust me. And later, I don't know what he meant. We didn't rip the hell out of it. They didn't do all this. We seen what could happen. So probably, you do thank him that he did let us go there. So that was our one day in, and that was how it actually happened right there. Jesse Barr kind of screwed everything up for us, and I mean, that was it. That was all there was to it. Of course, what's funny, I told you how the story grows. We were screwed now because we just left Vern and went there.
Did you leave Vern on good terms or bad terms?
Nobody leaves him on good terms. and he was now, he's like, you punks, look what happened to you now, type of thing. So we had to go all the way down to Continental, which was down in Birmingham, Alabama. And I ain't trying to put it down to say it was small compared to where we've been. We had to go there and remember our first night in. I think Scott Armstrong was it. Tom Pritchard was there. Let's see, a couple of other guys that came up to us like, "You guys, man, y'all are crazy. We heard what happened up there." We're like, "Oh, really? Was y'all here?" And because we were wondering, how did that story, what happened up there, get to down here? What was y'all hearing? And so like, "Oh man, we heard all about y'all, man. In there, y'all took all the glasses in the bar and broke them all, threw them at the bartender. So then y'all caught the couch on fire. Then had to take the couch and throw it in the pool to put the fire out." Shawn and I looked at each other like, "Well, we're pretty crazy." He said, "What the hell, man? Might as well take credit." It don't matter now anyway. But that's how that story grew, man. It was from what actually happened to, we called the place on fire.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.